Robert at English 360, and so happy to be here today with a very special student. Not only because she is actually very hardworking, which is always a good idea, but also because she really aced her exam. So that does not happen very often, and when it does, it needs to be celebrated because hard work pays. But not only you need hard work and talent. You need both. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the student I'm talking about. Here we go. Hello, Giulia. How are you today?
Hello, I'm fine. What about you?
Right. Not bad. Fantastic achievement. Congratulations, of course, for having got a very good grade. Actually, A. You got A, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I got A.
Yeah, in the CPE, which is, if for people who don't know what CPE is, it stands for Cambridge Proficiency Exam, which is level 5 of the 5 exams. We have CAT, PAT, First Certificate, CA, and CPE. And yeah, and you can get grade A, B, or C in it. So obviously she got the top grade. So I'm going to pick your brains today. I'm going to try to find out how is it that you did it, because I am curious as much as anybody else, you know. So let's start from the basics. How did you get into English?
Well, so I've always kind of gravitated towards English as a child. I really liked it as, you know, a subject in school and language. The time when I started to get into it more was when I started speaking English with other people. In particular, I got a friend who was English, so we spoke English. I also kind of cultivated my interest through reading and watching TV series in English, which was kind of hard at first. I didn't really understand much, and need subtitles or a dictionary next to me, because otherwise I would barely understand what was going on.
Let me just stop you 1 second. You said you didn't really understand much. How many years ago is that?
That's like...
How old were you?
7 years ago, 6 years ago.
So at 7 years of age, did you already have an English friend?
No, wait, that was when I was 10 to 11, and I met this friend when I was 11.
Okay, so because a lot of people have TVs with Netflix and what have you, so a lot of people watch Netflix and Sky, and but what they don't have is a friend to talk to who's fluent in English, right? Is this friend of yours, was she from the US, the UK?
She was originally from the US, but she's lived in the UK for a long time. She lives there now.
Right.
Yeah, but she'd come back to Italy because her family is Italian.
Yeah, just to clarify to the people who are watching, basically you're 16 years old, right?
Yes, I'm 17.
You're 17 now, so it hasn't been long since you were 16. I mean, I remember, so it's very early for a student to get a CPE at that age. It's you got it at a very early age, considering you need like 4 or 5 years of thorough practice. So that was great. So what happened after that? When you were 12, how did you go about learning?
Well, I pretty much just kept on doing what I was originally doing. So, speaking, I took some lessons also to, keep up my practice to speak with people in English. And I also read a lot, which I think helped me very much, because you can talk to people, you can listen to television, but, you really expand your vocabulary through reading. You learn a lot of words that you wouldn't normally use in a conversation, perhaps. So that was, a way of combining one of the things I like the most, and one of the other things that I like and the most interested in. So yeah, I think I'm not really sure how quickly the process of me learning English happened. I just know that I wasn't really trying actively. I just did things that interested me, involving a language that I really wanted to learn, but it just kind of, developed on its own from there.
Right. Actually, I mean, what I wanted to know, because you have a very good way of speaking, or a good accent, and did you pick that up on, like, deliberately work on it? Did you watch TV and say, I've got to say it like that, or did it just happen without you even noticing?
No, I didn't do it actively. I think I just picked up the accent of, the people I was talking to, and also of the things I was listening to, because I have a preference for English accents over American accents. So I also tended to maybe seek programs in, British English, and that kind of.
Which one was your favorite then? Which of the programs?
My grandmother made me watch some like news in English, which as a 13-year-old child I wasn't really too keen on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also watched some TV series. One of my favorites was Game of Thrones, which is in spoken in British English. So yeah.
Right. And did you ever think that you're going to do, your exams and pass so well when you were preparing for the exams? Were you confident, or was it like, was there a bit of a fear lurking in the back?
When I was taking this exam in particular, I think I was confident enough that I would pass it. I just didn't think that I would do too well. Not sure why. I didn't think I'd achieve, a particularly high grade. I just thought, kind of maybe pass it, because I thought, I'd have the skills to do it, but I wasn't really sure where it would be put on the scale.
Right. So for people who are watching, who are planning to do the proficiency exam, what one thing would you say to them, since you've done it, been there, done it? What would you say to them?
To pass the CPE exam.
Yeah.
As possible.
People who are enrolled in this course, or who are willing, who are even planning to do it, they haven't enrolled or they haven't even started the course. What would you say to them? What's one thing that they should do?
I think one thing that helped me is, being aware of the fact that since you are preparing to take the exam, you probably have a high enough level of English already, but also being open and, putting an effort into actively learning new things that you will need for the exam. Because taking lessons for the exam, I found out that there are a lot of things that I didn't know, a lot of maybe figures of speech or things like that I wasn't really confident in using, and so just not being too closed on your own previous knowledge and putting an effort into learning new things that you might need and that might help you.
Okay, so that was quite a long piece of advice.
Sorry.
Just need to, cut it down a little bit. What do you think about people who are, sorry, there's just a comment here I need to reply to. Do you have any problem with the writing? Matej Su Chanak, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, says, did you have any problem with the writing part? Interesting question there.
So the writing part is by far the part that I did the worst in. I got, I think, grade C for that, but I got grade A for the rest. I think a part of that is because the writing exam is in itself, the most difficult part, because you have to put a lot of personal things into it. But I also made the mistake of not really focusing on the thing that I was writing, meaning the kind of text that they required of me. So maybe I didn't really write a text that was like.
Yeah, I understand. It's hard to explain how to put your finger on why you possibly didn't do well. But was it because the question was hard, or was it because it required more time? What was the problem?
I think both. I think one thing is that I couldn't really put my finger on the type of thing that they wanted me to write, especially for the second part. I chose a letter, but I kind of, as I kept writing, I kind of forgot that was what I was trying to aim at. So I kind of slipped towards a different direction. I think that penalized me quite a bit. And I
so hang on, let me just interrupt you there. Did you actually have a plan and then you follow through? Did you like write out a plan? I'm going to do this in the, and how many paragraphs, and then you carry that plan out, or was it like, let me start writing because I haven't got any time to plan?
No, so the time was very scarce, but I did have a few minutes to plan what I was going to write. So I had a general idea of division of paragraphs and things that I was going to delve into before actually going into the writing. It's just with the second part, I kind of got the tone wrong, I think, because as I kept writing, I kind of forgot that I had to write a letter, so the tone had to be of a certain type, and I kind of went wrong in that. I think that's one of the main mistakes I made.
Right. So writing tends to be the hardest part, regardless of who you are, where you come from. It's the same across the board for everyone. Okay. So I've been training students for years now, and what I like them to do is to train under duress. So if you have to do if you want to do the CPE exam, you have to train under the time restrictions which are part of the exam. So do it within 45 minutes, do the essay within 45 minutes, and see how good it is, and that gets you closer to the readiness of exam that you need to be. But that's just writing. How about the listening and the reading use of English? How did that go?
They went well. They went better than I thought they would. I think I got the maximum amount of points that you could get in both things.
So you literally made no mistakes.
Yeah, which I'm not sure how that happened, but it did somehow. And yeah.
Yeah, well, I can tell you how that happened in my own very in my way. Knowing somebody to speak to in English, first of all, you get that knowledge ingrained, so you don't make those mistakes because it's like ingrained into you. You have that background knowledge of words and how they fit together. Okay, which is the problem for foreign students. If they don't speak the language, if they don't read it, if they don't hear it, then they don't have that confirmation from their memory that that word fits there rightly because it makes sense to them, somehow. And a lot of language just made sense to you, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't ever recall sitting down and actually studying most of the things that were in the CPE exam. Kind of just things that maybe I wasn't really too sure about, but they just sounded the right way, so I put them as the answer, and they were correct because I had heard them. I just hadn't. I just wasn't aware that I knew them. Maybe I knew them in the back of my mind because I'd heard them a lot of times.
Okay, so the speaking part, how did you manage there?
I think it went also better than I expected. I was paired with a person who wasn't too good, I think. Not that I'm just saying not to shame anyone or something.
In what way? In what way was it?
It was hard to understand the discourse that they were trying to build in the part that in which we had to interact. But still, it was doable. It wasn't too bad. And the examiners ask you questions that they don't really give you a lot of time to think about, but they're mostly questions that are, pretty, I wouldn't say easy to answer, but you can come up with an answer in a short amount of time. They're not too weird, I'd say.
Yeah. Did you think you had the luxury to even say you don't know to certain questions, like questions which you really didn't know the answer to? Could you say that? Did you feel you could say that?
No, I didn't. I mean, even if sometimes I think the questions that you're asked tend to be a bit about subjects and maybe especially as a young person you're not too well versed in. But I think even if I got those questions, I think I got a couple of those. I tried to make something out of them and give an answer.
Yeah.
I don't know, just
Right. Fantastic. I'm going to ask you one last question. What is your favorite English expression?
my favorite English expression. I'm not sure. You mean as in like a figure of speech?
Yeah, saying, figure of speech, something you'd like to use because it just makes you, feel good.
Crap, caught me unprepared. I'd say. That's awkward. I know I have some. I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Okay, so you have a few, not just one.
Yeah, I think I do. I'm sure I do. I just can't think of them right
Okay.
now.
Fantastic, Giulia. Thanks very much for coming in today and sharing your experience. I hope the people who are watching it now or later will find it useful. And congratulations upwards and forwards. You know, you're done with English, literally. So what's next? What language are you going to pick up?
I think I'm actually going to pick up French. I think in a few weeks I'm going to start having French lessons. I've never learned French. I studied Spanish when I was younger, but yeah.
There you go. There you go. Fantastic. Good luck with your endeavors and have a fantastic one. Thanks again for joining.
You too.
Bye-bye. Right, so here we are. This is Giulia, who did the exam really well. And just a piece of advice to you all, if you can find somebody you can speak English to, because that just makes the whole lot of difference. They don't have to be from the UK or from the US. As far as they speak English, that's the way you learn. And the last comment from Matesh was, did any sentence pattern that you saw in those practice appear in the exam? Oh, I'm sorry, Matesh. I think we've missed her. I will, perhaps I can bring her back in if she's still here. Wait. Hey, sorry, Giulia. one last question. Did any sentence patterns that you saw in the exam were in the test practice as well? I mean, was there any correlation between what you did in the practice tests and in what you were doing in the exam?
Well, I don't remember if there were like the exact expressions. I think some of them were probably used in the listening.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the writing part, I think in the texts that you have to answer.
I think there are questions about use of English, if I'm not wrong, use of English, keyword transformation. So like, you know, a word that you had to transform into another form to fit in the space. Did you find that you'd done most of those words in practice already when you went into the exam? Or was there some words that you hadn't seen before? I think that's the gist of the question.
Well, I'd say most words I hadn't seen before, but you know that you kind of get the gist of it when you start, you know, doing the same exercises a lot of times. You kind of get how they work, so you can do it more easily with words that you hadn't used before.
Right. Okay. This time, I promise you, this is real goodbye. Okay. Take care. Have a nice one.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Right. So there we go. She did it. She did well, but I have got to admit that is a very hard exam. So don't underestimate it. Prepare hard and go hard. As they say, go hard or go home. Thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.